If you want to stay bloated and tired and puffy forever, skip this video. But if you're a busy mom who's done feeling sluggish and uncomfortable in her body, you may just be a few simple food swaps away from real progress. These 4 simple food swaps have helped over 100 women to lose over 10 pounds in just 30 days while gaining massive energy and confidence. So let me show you exactly what it is that they changed. In this video, I'm sharing my 4 go-to healthy food swaps for losing weight and massive energy. These are the exact same swaps my clients use to lose weight, balance hormones, and finally feel good in their body again. So let's get started. Swap number 1, dairy. So the first swap, you're going to swap out things like cow's milk and cheese and whey protein for some other alternatives that don't have dairy in them. So when my son was born, he struggled with acid reflux, congestion, skin issues. We tried medications that barely helped him, and I was so desperate to help my son. So when my midwife suggested cutting out dairy, everything changed for us. Within a month, his symptoms completely reversed and he was off medication for good. And the crazy part for me, I lost weight. I lost 20 pounds. My skin cleared up. My cholesterol normalized. My congestion disappeared. And I had amazing energy despite no sleep, having a newborn baby. So now I see the same thing with my clients. Clearer skin, less bloating, better immunity, and lower cholesterol. So here are easy swaps that you can do to take dairy out of your diet. So you're going to swap out dairy yogurt for dairy-free yogurt. So Delicious and Forager are my absolute favorite brands. And the great part is you can also use that for sour cream using the unsweetened yogurt is one of my favorite things to do with that. You're also going to swap out regular milk and add in things like oat milk or almond milk. The key thing here is watching for oils or different additives. So the Oatly Basic is my absolute favorite for this, that is just oats and water, literally. For recipes that use cream, you're going to end up using coconut cream instead. It smells like coconut initially, but you're going to see as you cook it that the creaminess just takes over and you do not taste or smell any of the coconut. For mozzarella, my favorite is using a pourable dairy-free cheese, trying this Miyoko's brand, or I even have a DIY recipe that I'll put down below for you. Feta, I'll actually use some marinated tofu, either in cubes or crumpled up as a feta in different salads. For butter, I swap out and use coconut oil, avocado oil, or even ghee, which is clarified butter. It doesn't have the milk proteins in it. And then if I want something that has a cheese sauce, maybe a mac and cheese, I will use a cashew cheese. And you get bonus points if you add up some pureed butternut squash in there. It gives it the nice cheesy color without adding a lot of extra oils or fat to it. All right, so now that you've got the dairy-free swaps, now we're going to talk about the next big swap that people make that help them feel so good in their body. And that is swapping out gluten. And when I'm talking about gluten, I'm talking about the wheat breads and the pasta and all the different things that are added into ingredients that you don't even realize that contain gluten. So did you know that flour acts more like sugar in your body than the whole grain does? So Dr. Mark Hyman reports that 2 slices of whole wheat bread actually raise blood sugar more than 2 whole tablespoons of table sugar. Isn't that crazy? Because we're trying to avoid sugar, but then we go and eat bread and it's just as bad. So too much glucose at once impacts healing, energy, cravings, and your hormones. So my client Kim had no idea how much bread and pasta were affecting her weight. When she removed dairy and gluten, her thyroid labs completely shifted.
I've lost, as of now, like 35 pounds. So I've lost, and then also just not even focusing on the weight, but focusing more on the health benefits. My blood pressure has gone down. My thyroid balanced out. I was having a lot of issues where they were playing with my meds for my thyroid. So that's balanced out and actually lowered. It went from like 11 to like point something. I can't remember what it is. I think a 0.9 or something. So, I mean, a lot of health benefits.
She had been on hormone replacement for her thyroid for many years with very little difference in her lab work numbers until she changed the gluten and the dairy, and everything started to turn around for her. And now she actually has normal TSH levels. Amazing. So here are some simple swaps for you. So when it comes to bread, you can use things like lettuce wraps. So your burritos and your burgers can all just go in lettuce, and it's really delicious and creates that nice crunch. Hamburger buns, I'll actually make a flaxseed bun that you can make in the microwave that's literally ground up flax seeds and water and maybe a little salt and spices. So I'll put down the recipe below for my microwave recipe for these amazing flaxseed buns. When you're taking wheat pasta, you can swap that out for chickpea pasta. There's more protein and much better balance to your blood sugar. You're not gonna feel that crash or those cravings of needing to eat more and more and more pasta. All right, so now we've talked about two really big ones. We've talked about dairy, we've talked about gluten. Now we're gonna move on to one that's a little bit more sneaky, and people don't realize how much they're consuming of this until they start to look at ingredient labels. And this third swap is refined oils. Now, after reviewing hundreds of labels with my clients, this is the most common ingredient that I see hidden everywhere. So take this quick challenge. I want you to go over to your pantry and find the first crunchy food you find. Think of things like chips, crackers, trail mix, mixed nuts, granola bars, and turn it over and look at the ingredient label and find one of these oils. You'll see oils like canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, rapeseed oil, which is actually still canola oil, palm oil. So they hide very often in some of the foods that we have in our house all the time. So for salad dressings, you're gonna wanna swap them out for brands that only use avocado oil. One of my favorite brands is Primal Kitchen. When you find theirs at the store, they will only ever use avocado oil in their dressings. Or there are so many homemade dressings that do not use oil in them that taste delicious. Another hidden place for oils is actually mixed nuts. Can you believe it? You think you're eating a healthy snack when you get some mixed nuts, but most of those nuts have added oils to them when they're roasted. So the key thing you want to find is you want to find dry roasted or raw nuts. Otherwise, it typically has oil in the roasting process. Next is refried beans. You're going to want to choose the fat-free varieties of refried beans because the ones that are the normal or the traditional tend to have oil in them, canola oil. They might have lard if they're more of a traditional type of fat additive to it. You want to choose the fat-free. That's just literally beans, maybe some salt, and water. Next up is pasta sauce. So actually in some of the less expensive pasta sauce brands, there will be canola oil in pasta sauce. Think about that. How much would an Italian get angry about not having olive oil in their pasta sauce? So look at the ingredient label. You want to find ones that have pure olive oil in them. The Rouse brand is a really, really great brand that our family personally loves that only uses the olive oil, and it is delicious. It's so good. I have a recipe where it literally takes 10 minutes for us to get dinner on the table, where I cook all in one pot. The pasta, that's the chickpea pasta. I use the pasta sauce at the end, and I even boil the broccoli with the pasta at the same time. And it's a one dish meal that's delicious with that pasta sauce. All right, next up is another culprit, light olive oil. So olive oils that are light, marketed as light, tend to be mixed with a bunch of different types of oils. and you can do a test to see if this oil has some other refined oils in them. So put your olive oil in the fridge. If it does not solidify, it is a mix of oils, because olive oil itself will solidify when it's in the fridge. So that's a good test for you. But if it's really light and you look on the back of the label and you see a bunch of small little letters from all of these different countries that it's from, it's a mixed oil and likely has some refined oils in there. Another big culprit is nut butters. So the nut butters that have the no stir label on them always have some type of oil in them. That's how they make it a no stir. So you want to go for the natural nut butters that have the oil separation on the top, because that's just the natural oils from whatever nut it is. But the other ones, the no stir, they're actually adding in most of the time palm oil, sometimes peanut oil, into those nut butters to make it creamy without stirring. So definitely avoid those. Crackers are another big one. So most crackers out there are going to have some type of oil to make them crispy, crunchy, and most of the time it's canola oil. Sometimes they will have more sunflower and safflower oil, but your best bet is to go for ones that don't even have any oil in them. So Mary's Gone Crackers is a fantastic brand that only uses the seeds and doesn't use any extra oil in the processing. And they're crunchy and they are so delicious. I love, love, love those crackers. It's a little dangerous if I have those in the house still. Chips are another one. Most chips have canola oil in them. So one of my favorite brands is a brand called Siete, and they only use avocado oil with their chips and their tortillas and all of that. So definitely try and limit as much as possible your chips in general, but choose chips that use the avocado oil, and it's not going to have as much of an impact in your body. Okay, here's another ninja one that most people don't think about. Dried fruit. Now, dried fruit obviously has more sugar in them, but that's not the reason I want you to swap these out. Most dried fruit has oils on the coating of it to keep it from sticking all together. So you're not just having the fruit, you're actually having some of these refined oils mixed in that you don't even realize. So you're gonna wanna swap dried fruit for the fresh fruit. You're gonna get way farther by just eating fresh fruit. Do not be afraid of fresh fruit. Okay, I know I've given you a lot of information so far. So if you're new here, my name is Andrea, and I help busy moms to lose weight, balance hormones, and feel confident using simple food swaps and budget-friendly meal planning. So you learn these swaps for free inside my private community. So there's gonna be a link down below for you to be able to check that out, totally free, and we have a lot of fun in the community. All right, so swap number 4, what do you think it is? The fourth swap that my clients made to be able to lose 15 pounds in 30 days is refined sugar. Now, we all know that sugar is an issue, but when I say sugar, people start to think different things in their head, depending on where they've been in their journey with diets, with eating restriction. Most people start to think of things like carbs. They think of fruit as being sugary. They think of when they look on a nutrition label, trying to find the little sugar content on there, and think about keto type of items that don't have sugar in them. But what I'm talking about is refined sugar as an ingredient on a label. And refined sugar are things like white sugar, but also the 56 other names for white sugar. So total sugars on the labels actually include natural sugars. So I don't want you to worry about what the sugar says on the label. I want to teach you to actually look at the ingredient label and find some of the alternate names of sugars. Now, there are a lot, and it can get really confusing. So I actually have a really great cheat sheet that helps you that when you go to the store, you can look at an ingredient label, you can check off the things that you see on the ingredient label, and you can see whether this is a good choice for you. So I make it really easy. So in my community, I have that. I'll put a link down below so that you can get that free guide, so you feel really confident when you go to the store and you're starting to make some of these swaps. All right. So when I'm talking about sugar as well, I'm not talking about whole foods with fiber. Think of your whole fruits. because it has fiber with it, which actually slow down the release of sugar into your bloodstream. So you can eat whole fruits. That is the way that they are designed to be eaten, and they're not going to increase your blood sugar as much as the refined sugars and as much as the bread products that we talked about earlier. So sugar is not the same as carbohydrates. Carbohydrates come in many different forms, including your whole grains, your beans, your legumes, your fruits. Even many vegetables have a decent amount of carbohydrates in them. So we're really just focusing on the ingredient list. So here are a few of these swaps that you can make really easy to be able to swap out some of those refined sugars. And you're going to find some places that they hide that you don't even realize, and make some simple swaps so you don't even have to think about it. So before we talked about nuts, this time I'm talking about the flavored nuts. They tend to have sugar in them with the oil, so opt for the raw or dry roasted nuts. Sweetened creamers is a big culprit, as well as the sweetened yogurts. So opt for the unsweetened or the plain varieties. Sugary cereal is a big one. So opt for oatmeal, or even Cheerios is great because Cheerios are gluten-free. They don't have the added sugar or oils. It's really one of those breakfast type of cereals that are not as bad for you as some of the other ones. All right, energy drinks. They talk about the caffeine, but also they have so much sugar in them often. So opt for things like matcha or an Americano type of coffee that doesn't have the added sugar on top of it, that you can still get that energy boost without having to have some of that extra sugar on top that gives you the crash later, and then you need more and you need to crash and you need more again. Another hidden place most people don't think about is some of our condiments, ketchup being one of those. Ketchup very often has high fructose corn syrup in it, which is one of those types of sugars. Definitely avoid. But there are so many options where the ketchup doesn't have extra sugar, or they have ones that are sweetened with dates or sweetened with other vegetables. So opt for those types of brands when you're looking at the ingredient label. Dried fruit is another one that hides sugars along with the oils. They also put the sugar on top, so opt for fresh fruit. Cranberries especially are the worst. They almost always have sugar on the cranberries. Cranberries are pretty tart by themselves. If you've ever tried a fresh cranberry, just fresh in your mouth with nothing on it, it is tart for sure. So these are the 4 food swaps that help my client Stephanie lose 13 to 15 pounds in just 1 month. 13 to 15 pounds, that's awesome.
Huge, yeah.
Yes.
And I lost inches on my waist. I mean, I think I lost a whole inch on each arm.
Yes.
I'm back in my regular pants, which is such a big deal. So I'm a size 8. And I was just wearing stretchy maternity pants before, so I don't even know what size I was. I just refused to buy more clothes.
And here's the thing. She didn't do any calorie counting. She didn't feel deprived. All she did was make smarter swaps for her body. So now she's back in her size 8 jeans. And friends keep asking her, what are you doing? And the best part, she finally feels like herself again. So does that sound like something you want? So click the link below to learn these swaps for free inside our private community. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care.